All right. Hello, I am Trey Johnston. Welcome to my presentation on the Treaty of Coleraine. Why the Treaty of Coleraine was needed. A lot of tension. Sorry. The Treaty of Coleraine was needed because there was a lot of tension with the Creek Indians and Georgia settlers as they did not trust each other due to years and years of conflict and disrespecting the boundaries on both sides. The state government knew that the state government was not trusted by the national government, as they knew that the state government wouldn't be trusted well with it, as the public opinion of Native Americans in Georgia was very bad. Originally, the 1790 Treaty of New York was meant to help better enforce boundaries with the Creek Nation and build better relations, but it had some unfortunate consequences. While few signed the treaty, it still caused a lot of internal instability in Creek politics, as most did not trust the treaty and the government itself, and mostly went ignored by both sides. George Washington even recognized the value of forming good relations with the Creek nations and sought to better the relations with them. Right here is a picture of George Washington, and under him is the Treaty of Coleraine Georgia place marker. The Treaty of Coleraine itself. The Treaty of Coleraine is actually rather short, in which it contains 10 articles and was conducted on June 29th of 1796. The reason why it's called the Treaty of Coleraine and not, say, the Treaty of the Creeks is that the treaty took place in the county of Coleraine, which is a quarter-mile south of the Camden County in Georgia. Again, the place marker thing, because it greatly exemplifies it. The United States would gain Creek, and due to the treaty, the United States would gain Creek Nation land set for military purposes and for trade. And ultimately, once the land was abandoned and no longer needed by the national government, the Creek Nation would gain the land back from the United States itself. And another stipulation is that the Creek Nation would have to return all white and black prisoners that they were keeping at the time back to the United States due to whatever circumstances. And ultimately, the Treaty of Coleraine was made to form better relations with the Creek Nation and the government so that there would be much more stability in Georgia for the settlers and the Indians. Ooh. And one of the best figures for this is the man, the myth, the legend, Benjamin Hawkins. Benjamin Hawkins was the federal agent of Chief Indian Affairs from 1798 until his death in 1816, successing over James Seagrove, who was greatly pleased with Benjamin Hawkins' actions. And what really cemented him as a helpful man to this is that Hawkins genuinely tried to help better relations with the Creek Indians and the Georgian settlers, as he was respected greatly by the Creek Indians since he showed he wanted to help and put in work for it by learning about the culture and politics of the Creek nations. And while they butted heads at times due to ideas, he ultimately respected the Creek Nation and what they were doing, and and likewise the Creek Nation respected him. Because of this, the Creek Nation trusted the government much more, as they saw that Benjamin Hawkins appointed was one of the best things that they could have done. And he made sure that people were punished accordingly depending on their crime if they came onto the land of the Creeks. And they gave power to the Creek Nation to decide what to do. But mostly the Creek Nation made sure that the United States people who intruded upon their land were taken back peacefully to the United States so that the United States could punish them accordingly. And to the upper left is Benjamin Hawkins himself. And to the right is a painting of him forming better relations with the Creek Nation. And you know you can trust him very well because there's a dog right there. And fun facts about the Treaty of Coleraine. One of the things that the Creek Nation gained from the national government was that they gained $6,000. And while yes, today $6,000 is nothing to sneeze at, Today, with inflation, it would be $193,000, which is pretty good back then. And another fun little thing that I enjoyed is that the Treaty of Coleraine is sort of like a sequel to the Treaty of New York. And surprisingly, the sequel is better. Much like these past two sequels right here, each one being better than the original. And if you wonder why, then just watch them and try to prove me wrong. My favorite transition. And these are my sources that I used for this and the paper. And a big shout out to Mr. Cocomore. He's one of the greatest contributors to this, as his work really did help me, especially with learning more about Benjamin Hawkins and the proceedings before the Treaty of Coleraine. That is all. Thank you very much.